Hey you guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new, do hit that subscribe button as well as the bell, so anytime any new content is uploaded, you're going to be the first to find out. And if you guys are not new to this, but you're true to this, you're one of my subscribers, welcome back, you guys. So in this video, we actually are going to cover advice that Dr. Umar recently gave Shannon Sharpe. Now, this is not the first time that Dr. Umar has spoken on Shannon Sharpe, right? So he has his own opinions on that. Personally, I want to say that I am a Shannon Sharpe Club Shay Shay fan anyway, regardless. I'm going to show a few clips. I'm going to show a clip of Shannon Sharpe speaking on the backlash that he has received since having Katt Williams on his show and other celebrities, basically being blacklisted. It's an interview that he did with It's an interview that he did with Cam Newton, a football player who was actually recently on Club Shay Shay as well. And then I'm actually going to show what Dr. Umar says during an Art of Dialogue interview where he's asked about Shannon Sharpe. And I actually think, like I say, I think he gave him some pretty good advice. So we're going to check out these clips, you guys. I want you guys to kind of keep certain things in mind or certain questions in mind. For one thing, you all think that it's fair that Shannon Sharpe has been blacklisted? Do you think there's just certain things that should not be said or not allowed to be said? Do you all think that Dr. Umar is giving Shannon Sharpe some pretty good advice when it comes to how he handles being blacklisted? And also, do you guys think that Shannon Sharpe should in any way change his style of interviewing celebrities? Should he switch it up? Should certain things be edited out, not played? Celebrities say things that's kind of like the unpopular opinion. So we're going to check these things out. I want you guys to keep that in mind. And I'm also going to give my opinion on, what I think. I'm going to give you guys a spoiler alert. I agree with the advice that Dr. Umar gives Shannon Sharpe when it comes to basically handling being blacklisted. I agree with that. So I'm going to speak on that. And yeah, you guys, so let's get into this video.
My advice for Shannon Sharpe, after I tell him he needs to date black women, my advice for Shannon Sharpe, embrace the role as boogeyman. If they want to label Shannon Sharpe the Hollywood boogeyman, embrace it. If I was Shannon Sharpe, I'm not complaining. Oprah, Tyler, DL, Steve, y'all want to make me the Hollywood boogeyman, the black entertainment elite boogeyman? So be it. I'm bringing everybody on here who want to expose y'all secrets since y'all want to get down like that. But he do got to be careful though, Art, because they play dirty at that level. They play dirty at that level. Oprah, she's in them circles. Tyler, he's probably in them circles. Steve Harvey, he's almost in them circles. So he still got to be safe because he don't want this to turn into something that he can't control. But as I've done, I've embraced my boogeyman status. They want to make me the special education boogeyman. They want to make me the interracial dating boogeyman. They want to make me the white supremacy boogeyman. I'm all for it. But see, my life was always about this. I was an activist since the 4th grade. I'm about this since I was 9. You feel me? Shannon Sharpe ain't no activist. He's very much about his Hollywood privilege. He's very much about his entertainment privilege. I don't live that life. I just so happens I'm an activist who's as popular as an entertainer, but I'm not an entertainer. So the question comes down to how far does Shannon Sharpe want to go? But if I'm Shannon Sharpe, I'm stepping into the role as black Hollywood boogeyman. And if y'all wanna blacklist me, I'm going to interview everybody who got some tea to spill on y'all Negroes. That's how I would come at it. But I don't know if Shannon Sharpe is built like that.
I think with that, I actually think that was excellent advice. I think that, if Shannon Sharpe really is being blacklisted, which a lot of people are saying that he is, we're going to watch a clip with Shannon Sharpe actually talking about a lot of people are canceling being interviewed by him. If that is the case, I understand what Dr. Umar is saying in terms of just lean into it, right? Just lean into it and embrace it. I think Katt Williams embraces being the celebrity that speaks out on Hollywood, right? What's going on behind the scenes and things like that. Like Katt Williams has leaned into it. It has worked for him. And to use kind of like a very random example, but Jerry Springer, right? Jerry Springer started out with like a lot of other talk show hosts, but he kind of got that name of being like the trashy talk show host. So, or a lot of his topics and the way his shows would go with fights. And then he wound up leaning into that and really embracing being like the trash talk show host. And he just really took off. And he kind of became king of his own domain. So I feel like, if that is the case, that Shannon Sharpe has been blacklisted in any kind of way, where his trajectory of like interviews that he felt he was going to get or should be getting, he's no longer getting, then maybe he should just embrace it, lean into it and make the most of it, and maybe even dominate within that, right? But you guys leave comments down below. Let me know what you guys think. All right, you guys. So this is an interview that Shannon Sharpe did not that long ago with Cam Newton. Cam Newton has actually been on Club Shay Shay before, but this was an interview which was unusual. This was an interview with Shannon Sharpe actually sitting down being interviewed, and he's just talking about his interview that he did with Katt Williams and the impact that interview had on his career. Which, as we already know the title of this video. So let's get into this video, you guys.
But here's the thing I tell people: if I'd have had Katt mic'd up from the time he got out of the truck until the time he sat down, it'd have done 100 million. Oh, he was on it. I didn't think it was gonna move me in the direction. I'm glad it did. I understand what comes along with that line. But if you remember, he said it. He said, this is going to put you in another dimension.
He definitely did.
He told me, and my guy Jordan is over there, he said, now they're going to come for you. I said, can't come for me for what? I didn't say anything.
Right.
He said, they're going to come. And they're going to say a lot of different things. And they're going to be some people that you thought you might be able to get that they're not going to come now.
Right.
And that's absolutely has happened. That's absolutely has happened. They were so excited. Thanks for reaching out. We can't wait to sit down. And a day later, they can't do it. And then no call. They won't follow. So for the song. So
as we know, Katt didn't generate all those views. And as you could hear what Shannon Sharpe said, it probably would have been closer to 100 million views if Katt really said everything that he, could have said. It's not a total surprise because we're going to have kind of unified fronts, right? And if someone had their toes stepped on or whatever, or someone was rubbed the wrong way by what was previously said, let's keep going.
I understand what comes along with an interview like that. Did I expect it? No. Did I expect all the negativity that came along? I want credibility. I want people to be able to share their story without me interrupting. I think sometimes people in our position that do what you and I do, they want to hear their voice instead of the guest. Well, I can go home and hear myself talk if I wanted to, if that's what I wanted to hear. I think for the most part that people tune in to watch my pod because they want to hear what the guests have to say. I let the guests speak. He had studied every interview that I had done, conversation I had, he had studied. Because a lot of things that we didn't mention on the show, he was talking about it but if you notice, he was he was doing this, he did this a lot. So his recall, everything that somebody had said that he had a question, it didn't happen like that. I'm not a journalist. I never told anybody I was a journalist. I said I'm a conversationalist. But what people are upset about is that for some reason people come to me and I don't look at them with judgy eyes. I have no predetermined notion or preconceived notions, and they open up to me.
Right.
That's what they're upset about. Because if you look at a lot of these people that's been on other podcasts, they don't do the views that they do when they come on Club Shay Shay.
Correct.
Because,
And also, you guys, I think, at least even before the Katt Williams interview, that was one of the things that I liked about the Club Shay Shay interviews was that he gave guests a nice amount of time just to talk, right? And like he said, he's more of a conversationalist. He's not a journalist, and is set up in a very kind of comfortable setting. He would have his signature drinks there for people to drink and sip and talk. And the interviews was about 2 hours, right? I think Joe Rogan also does like the 2-hour interviews or 2-hour podcasts when he interviews people, but that's more than enough ample time for people to really kind of open up, get comfortable, and just to talk freely. So I think he definitely has a point with that. So let's
Had Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey did 8 million views. Had Coach Prime. I've had a lot of comedians, right. and some of the comedians had taken shots at other comedians, but nothing like this. I didn't expect the vitriol to come, especially from some of the people. And I'm not going to say we were friends, but I'm saying we were cordial. We were friendly towards each other. Some people that I've kind of held behind the scenes, and to see them attack. Oh, I wouldn't have let him do this. I wouldn't have said that. But you know what? It took me a long time, Cam. Because when you play sports, you understand that Atlanta fans, even though you're from Atlanta, they're going to have a little resentment towards you because you beating their team.
Right.
Or certain fan bases are going to feel a certain type of way. And I felt that the better the player, the more vitriol and hate he's going to get from opposing fans. I got that. But in this situation, I can honestly say I did not expect the level of vitriol and the suddenness. That's what really got me.
Okay, so this is personally why I think the whole Katt Williams interview, why it was such a build-up, why it was such a big deal, why it did huge numbers, breaking record numbers on YouTube. I personally think that it was like a huge, big deal is because Katt Williams, he's done interviews before, but he rarely does them. And for it to be on Club Shay Shay, which is known for doing 2-hour interview podcasts, was a pretty big deal. You guys have to excuse the noise in my background, but it was a pretty big deal. And over the years, Katt Williams has said, right, I guess you could say that he's taken the advice, right, of Dr. Umar of leaning into whatever, right? He's, kind of taking the stance of being anti powers that be, anti-Illuminati. He's not with certain industry things. And over the years, he's given, I guess you could say, the public little injections of his thoughts or what really goes on, or his thoughts about other celebrities or just what's happening. So for news to hit that he's on Club Shay Shay and he's going to sit down and do a 2-hour interview, everybody is on has bated breath as what is he going to say? What's going to come out of Katt Williams' mouth? What is he going to say? So personally, I think that's why it was such a big deal, because there's a lot of content on YouTube that has Katt Williams, and this was before Club Shay Shay. There's a lot of content on YouTube that has clips of Katt Williams speaking out against the industry, speaking on this, speaking on things that celebrities typically do not speak up on. So that is why I think it was such a huge, big deal when that interview dropped, and everybody wanted to know what was going to come out of Katt's mouth, and Katt did not disappoint at all. I think that Katt did what Dr. Umar said, which is to lean into it, right? He had already kind of slowly built up this reputation of being anti that, right? What is he going to say? Aside from him being Katt Williams and being hilarious and all that, I really think a lot of people wanted to know what was he going to say, and he really delivered. Now, I do say this. I think that the larger message that I think Katt Williams had in doing that interview, I think got a little bit lost in the sauce. Yeah, I'm going to say lost in the sauce again, you guys. It got a little bit lost in the sauce in that once he started bringing in Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer and stealing jokes and who was hired first and all that, or offered a role first and all that, I think that it made it seem a little messy or petty or whatever, just because of those things. But I think, or at least, this is just my opinion, that overall, how he was saying, their time is up, and he was pointing out Diddy and all these others, he was saying some stuff. I think that was probably the larger point that was supposed to have been taken away from that interview. But I mean, like I say, you guys leave comments. Do you guys think that he went a little too far with certain things that he said? Do you think there's certain things that just should not be said? do you think that Shannon Sharpe should have handled it differently? Personally, I think that I like Shannon Sharpe's interview style, and that he like, well, he says himself, as you guys will see in the clip saw in the clip, that he says that he's not a journalist, he's a conversationalist. And because it's such a relaxed setting, that's why people open up to him. And I believe that, because they feel like, he has his signature drink, and, I think Steve Harvey had a cigar and stuff like that. Like, people feel comfortable. They feel like they're in a comfortable, safe space to speak freely and say what they want to say without any kind of censorship that might come from a real journalist that knows, like, you don't talk about this A-lister, or you can't talk about that, or this person's cutting my check, you can't say this. Like, he didn't have that style. And because of that, I think that's why it's been so, like, he's gotten a lot of celebs. His traction has slowed down a bit, or, however, and I get it, because, Hollywood is but that big, especially for the Black community. And if you're speaking up or speaking out about certain celebs or important A-listers, elite, then, and that's your bread and butter to get hired for this job or that job, or invited to this party, I can understand them coming together and saying, like, oh no, I won't do I won't do Club Shay Shay, or I won't, I'm not his friend. I get it. It sucks and it's silly, but I get it. Is it right? But I understand it from that perspective as well, for other celebs that have canceled or want to disassociate themselves from. I get it. So that's my thoughts on that. In terms of leaning into it, I think there are certain celebrities, Dr. Umar talks about leaning into the role of the boogeyman, and I think that it makes sense, especially, when you're looking at your different options. If it's true, which Shannon Sharpe feels that it is, and there are many that would probably agree, if it's true that he is being blacklisted from being able to access certain A-listers, on his platform, then maybe he should lean into it. There are certain celebs that have done that and been extremely successful. I would say that, Jerry Springer, he's one that, I think he started out like the rest, but for whatever reason, people would get on his platform, they get on his show and start fighting and throwing things or stripping or just doing very trashy things. And he became known as like the trash talk show host, and he leaned into it. He embraced it. He got a pole on stage, had people chanting Jerry, for the fights and stuff like that, and just really kind of like went all in. And I think it really worked for him, made him extremely successful, very prosperous, from just being known for that, right? Jerry Springer could have, try to change it up, switch it up, change his topics, change his platform. Would he have been as successful? Maybe, but I doubt it. I think that just he kind of leaned into that. And really, you could say Katt Williams has done the same, right? Over the years, even though he hasn't done a whole lot of interviews, the interviews that he has done, he's, like I said, given the public little injections of his thoughts on the industry and people and, like different celebs and like what's really going on. And I would say that when he did Club Shay Shay, he really leaned into it and embraced being the boogeyman, and he went all in. And I think that's why the interview was as successful as it was. And, Katt Williams is in everybody's mouth, very, his celebrity is through the roof, right? His celebrity status is through the roof because he really embraced that. He leaned into it. So, I think that that's pretty decent advice, now, his other, like I say, that's not the first time that Dr. Umar has spoken on Shannon Sharpe. I personally am a Shannon Sharpe fan, Club Shay Shay fan. So the other stuff is, his opinion, whatever, talked about him. But in terms of just like the specific advice that he gave on handling being blacklisted, I think was legit, definitely legit advice that was was really good advice. Now, what Shannon Sharpe will do with that, I don't know. He seems to have a pretty good work ethic. He also does the podcast with Ocho Cinco. You know, he stays working very hard, hard working. So maybe, you know, he'll just keep pushing through it or whatever, or maybe he'll, you know, take Dr. Umar's advice and invite every celeb who wants to dish on it. You know, I don't know. That's, you know, and go that route. But you guys leave comments down below. Let me know what you guys think on that particular portion. Should there be a certain level of censorship when it comes to interviews? Should celebs be able to go on a podcast or a platform, YouTube, and be able to speak up and, you know, say whatever they think about other celebs? Is there just certain things that should not be said or should be edited out or completely cut out of the interview altogether? You know, were there certain lines that were crossed? You know, you guys let me know on that. But I just want to give a quick word about censorship. I think that especially, you know, more recently, it seems like there seems to be a huge movement on censorship, right? On YouTube, for example, there's certain things that words, right, we cannot say. We've learned to create other words just to supplement a word that we're not allowed to say, right? For instance, unalive is a word that has been created just because we can't say the other word. You know what I mean? Like, so it seems to be, you know, we have our freedoms, freedom of speech, this and that, but there's a huge movement of censorship. And just, you know, does this fall into that bucket? You know, I don't know. You guys leave comments down below. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye.